A number of guests from other communities, and we would like to welcome you here. I have the pleasure of briefly introducing our guest today, Dan Burton. Dan has spent more than 35 years helping the world get back on its feet, and his efforts have not only earned him the first ever Lifetime Achievement Award issued by the New Partners for Smart Growth in the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals in 2001. Dan was named by Time magazine as one of the 6 most important civic innovators in the world. Early in his career, starting in 1980, Dan served for 16 years as the county's first statewide bicycle and pedestrian coordinator for the Florida Department of Transportation. And the program became a model for other statewide programs in the United States. In 1996, Dan sought to expand his reach and ability to really change the world, so he and his wife founded a nonprofit organization called Walkable Communities. Since then, Dan has personally helped 3,500 communities throughout the world become more livable and walkable. In 2009, Dan co-founded WALC Institute with General Manager Sarah Bowman to create a focus on education, capacity building, training to support communities, and becoming more engaged and healthier through active living. In 2010, the Institute donated $130,000 in services to communities and raised $135,000 for communities through grants. It's my pleasure to welcome Dan Burton.
Greg, and good afternoon, Fairhope, and Baldwin County, and all of Alabama. Well, it's a delight for me to be here. I tend to be a very visual person. I once shot for National Geographic. So if you don't mind, I'll ask for the lights to be turned down now, and we'll go right into the presentation. And hopefully this will raise some thoughts, ideas, perhaps questions on how we can bring the kinds of change that will take a street like this, happens to be in Sacramento, California, and turn it into a place that works for all people all of the time. We've run out of the ability to just build roads for the sake of building roads. We now need to build roads that are going to increase land value. And what that means is we will design our roads to meet the needs of all people, whether they're children, people in their most senior of years who wish to stay active. And when I come to Fairhope, and I really mean this in the most sincere way, it gives me the greatest hope that as I travel America, I'm looking for the small towns that are getting it right, that are polishing and perfecting the things they're in love with, their history, their past, their qualities, the things that make them unique. So when I think a year ago, came in and saw these things, I said, these are indicators of a very successful small town. That you don't dedicate space just for unloading freight. You just unload it where it makes sense. That you likewise have beautiful terminating vistas. And then as my wife and I came here yesterday and realized you haven't marked the paving yet, you were waiting for my arrival. And I looked at this truck driver, a big wheelbase of about 60 or 65 feet, and figured out how to make a turn without messing up the flowers. I said, okay, you've got the right design, you've got people trained, you're doing the right things, and you're one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Of course, you hold that title for a very good reason. You care about your community. You understand horticulture and nature and beauty and aesthetics. And when I saw intersections like this and realized you don't even have walk signals, I said, this is another good indicator. Your intersections are small enough and compact enough that you don't have to tell people when they're allowed to leave the curb and when they have to be out of the street. This is a very advanced level of design. I enjoyed taking walks and seeing your people. Years ago, I was here, and I don't know if this was like 10 years ago, But I love your little establishments, the cafes, the places where people come together. They talk through ideas and complexities. You have green, you celebrate real drugstores. Children are seeing what I like to refer to as free range children. And it's a very important quality to allow children to go places and do things. Your gateways are now being shown by me throughout the country. And with that, let me share with you, you're not alone. You're unique, you're special, but there are other towns that figured this one out just about the same time you started to. This is Santa Barbara, California. This road used to be 4 lanes. They took it down to 2. Now you'll see more people, far more people, walking, biking, using transit than you'll see driving cars. In other towns, you realize that it's how relaxed people are walking or biking, if they're making friends. Or in a big town, this happens to be the most dense town in North America, Vancouver, British Columbia. When I took my group there of 60 people, I said, we're going out on bikes today. Wherever you go, stop at an occasional corner and look in all 4 directions. There will never be a time where you don't see people. They'll be walking, they'll be biking, and on more rare occasions, they'll be driving a car. But the point is, they're not just driving cars. They built their city to house fantastic numbers of people and to be a prosperous community. So when I look at communities, I'm looking at how natural walking, bicycling is. This happens to be Calgary. It was only 20 degrees out, and I saw over 500 bicycles commuting into the downtown on this one little pathway. Or another town where you don't even set speed limits because you can't get over 5 miles an hour. So as I came here and enjoyed getting to meet a lot of your town folks, your police officers, your council members, and your advocates, obviously your mayor, and many, many people, I loved watching you work, coming through and figuring out ideas, how to fine-tune, how to tweak, how to make everything better, and to have fun doing it. We went out onto the roads, and some of the areas that we explored, we looked at what we can eliminate, what we can add. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but you've got enough room here, if you choose to have bike lanes. Other roads where you're trying new things, that you may want to do a few more things with them. For example, these curb extensions, if we put in an edge stripe, they'd be much more effective than just as curb extensions alone. You have some fairly complex corners that you're going to need to deal with, so we spent a lot of time talking through some of the notions or concepts, how to put in the kinds of markings that are going to get people to do the right things. I'm going to share some different categories of ideas. All these are things we talked about on our walks, and we'll talk more for those of you able to join us on the walk this afternoon. But one of the big things is just simple, inexpensive wayfinding. Help people go places, know where to find the library, the post office by foot, and not have to get in their car and turn on the GPS finder and find it that way. When people walk, they want to know where they are, they want to know where they're going, and sometimes they just want to know, well, is that a 5-minute walk or is that a 20-minute walk? And so people have been working on wayfinding systems. They can be attractive, they can be produced locally, and they can also be attractive. They tend to also help motorists, but the point is you're really doing this to keep people out of their cars, park once, and just enjoy all of downtown Fairhope. Now, I'm going to introduce a couple of concepts. One of the things we talked about as we walked and talked is to get rid of your center turn lines, the double yellow lines. They are way overdone in our country, and they tend to convey a message to motorists to drive faster. They really do. They're like a category. You're now up to this category road. You should be going this higher speed. If you take out that double